Alright, hello everyone and welcome back to Kottabos Space Program, where today we are having a look at the Restock Plus mod, which is being made by the same glorious team of modders who of course did make the Restock mod, which we looked at in the previous episode. And what this Plus version looks to add in is a number of new parts which the modders of Restock thought were missing from the base game, especially in the 3.75 and 0.625 meter size categories, and do of course fit in with the overall Restock design philosophy. So let's jump into the vehicle assembly building and have a look at what all we do get. Now let's grab ourselves a Mark 1 command pod for size comparison's sake, and then head into Janitor's Closet to just keep on the Restock Plus parts and have a look at our first glorious thing here, which is the RCXL001 remote guidance unit, which is a 3.75 meter size probe core for you to use, and it is a pretty good looking thing, matching up with the design of all the other parts we came to really respect in the Restock mod. And of course it is an unmanned command pod with a built-in data transmitter, reaction wheel, SAS, and 80 electric charge. Now then, moving on to fuel tanks, our first one here is the Kerbonauts S3-1800 tank, which is again a sort of small-sized 3.75 meter tank, holding 810 liquid fuel, 990 oxidizer, and having black and white and orange variants. Now we also see those same black and white and orange variants in the S3-3600 nose cone, which, if we just pop on there, is just a nice gigantic nose cone for us to use with 1620 liquid fuel, 1980 oxidizer. We then also move down to the 0.625 meter size category with the Oscar C liquid fuel tank, holding 16.2 liquid fuel and 19.8 oxidizer in either a metal or a white paint schemes. And we then get a sort of double-sized Oscar D with 32.4 liquid fuel and 39.6 oxidizer, and then a sort of triple-sized version with 64.8 liquid fuel and 79.2 oxidizer. Actually, that might be quadruple rather than triple there. Yeah, that makes about more sense as quadruple from the first one I put down. Well, there we go. Some lovely tiny fuel tanks for you to use. Now, next in the engine category, if we pop off some of these, we have the KR-1 bore liquid fuel engine, which, if we pop on, there is a very nice sized engine with some very good variants. I like this one the most there, the boat tail. And just overall, a very cool look to it, and having, of course, a maximum of 1,000 kilonewtons of thrust using liquid fuel and oxidizer and a vectoring range of 3 degrees. We also have the Corgi liquid fuel engine, which, I mean, just has a fun name. Again, we have a 3.75 meter variant, or you can actually downgrade it to a 2.5 meter variant. Either way you go, you are going to have 750 max kilonewtons of thrust with liquid fuel and oxidizer and 4 degrees of gimbaling, so always useful. Let's pop that off and take a look at the Pug engine there, with 3 lovely variants, the 1.25 meter, a boat tail, and a compact design, whichever way you choose to go with, and having 25 kilonewtons of max thrust with liquid fuel and oxidizer, and of course having some built-in fuel tanks at 18 liquid fuel and 22 oxidizer. Now the next we have is the Valiant there in some lovely new variants of the 1.25, the boat tail, or the compact, the boat tail just being, I don't know, I really like these boat tail designs, they're fun. And having, of course, 100 kilonewtons of max thrust, liquid fuel and oxidizer, and 5 degrees this time on the vectoring. Now then, after that, we have the Torch liquid fuel engine with, there we go, a lovely tiny design there in either 0.625, the boat tail, which less boat tail this time around and more just solid cylinder, in my opinion, but hey, it works. And then a compact design. Either way you go, you'll have 55 kilonewtons of thrust in vacuum, liquid fuel oxidizer, and a mere 1 degree of vectoring range. After that, we have some fun and new solid rocket boosters, with the RT-1 Mallet being a .625 version of the, larger different SRBs that we get, with 115 kilonewtons of thrust using solid fuel and holding 80 of it inside. We then have the Striker version, which is, quite a bit longer. This one, again, producing now 125 kilonewtons of thrust, so 10 more than the previous version, and doing it once more with solid fuel and 160 of it. And finally, we have the STS Anvil, which is just a really big fat one. And let's zoom out. There we go, beautimous. And it holding, or not holding, but rather producing 1600 kilonewtons of thrust with 3 degrees of gimbling range and 4500 solid fuel. So all good things indeed. Let's pop these off and then head down to our next category, command and control, which, oh boy, I actually need a bit more area to work with here to show these. So back to command and control here, and as you can see, we have a number of new fun RCS blocks. Let's actually pop that on properly, where we have the RC1 RCS linear RCS port, which is just a nice tiny little RCS thruster. Perfect, of course, for those 0.6 to 5 meter size vessels. But we also do have it in a dual thruster block, a tri-thruster block, and a quad thruster block of multiple varieties. So there we go. Very good. Actually, that was a quad and then a five nozzle. Suddenly I'm blanking on the word that I need there. But yes, there we go. So we have all the numbers you need of different RCS ports for those small little ships. We then, of course, have some new different sizes of the sort of, I guess, standard block here, where we have a either dual block, a tri block, a quad block there, and another 5-1. There we go. Words escape me. And then we also have a small radial gyroscope, which is pretty cool to have something with a reaction wheel other than the typical inline ones, where we just kind of have this nice thing poking out the side. I like it. I like it a lot, especially for if you are making a more weirder design of a spacecraft. It's pretty cool. Now, in structural, we only get 2 things here. A Kerbin 9 ADTP 2-3A adapter here, which there we go, going from the 3.75 to 2.5, and also does have the different variants of black and white, white, or orange. We then also have the Kerbin 9 SKLE-23, which is the same sort of adapter, but purely metallic and structural. I really like this part. A very good look to it. Now, after that, in coupling, we do have a new big grande docking port for you to use, and look at that gigantic, glorious thing. And we also do get a new radial decoupler, which goes perfectly with those new, smaller, solid rocket boosters for the 0.625 meter size ships. Very cool things there. Very much do like them. Now, next in payload, we only have one thing, a very small 0.625 meter protective shell for you to use, so we can just pop that baby on there. Excellent, always good to have. In aerodynamic, we also do get a fun new nose cone there with different variants of the white, the black and white, and orange. I like the orange one. It's really more of an orange and gray, but hey, I'll roll with it. Now, we sadly get nothing in ground nor in thermal, but in electrical, if we pop these babies off, because I don't need them anymore, we do have a new Z10K rechargeable battery pack holding a whopping 10,000 electric charge for you to use. Then in communication, we get 3 new lovely little antennae. The first one here being my personal favorite of the new ones, the Communitron DTS-J1, which is, it's just kind of like a nice little, I don't even know quite how to describe it. It's not really a dish, it's just It's just there. I like it very much. We then have the HG61, which is very similar to the existing, I'm suddenly forgetting the full designation, but the Communicatron dish satellite, but just in a smaller form. So very cool. And then we have the HG20 high gain antennae, which of course is radially attached and has different versions of either radial, the radial reversed, the axial, and axial reversed for you to choose from. And then after that, we have two science experiments, the first one being a much smaller 0.625 meter inline containment unit for goo experimentation. And then we also have the SSC-9001R Radial Science Junior, so that you do have an observable little fun science bay there, or material bay rather. Why did I suddenly forget that name? And it either has a truss or compact version. The difference between the two, adding these, let's zoom in here a little bit. These little supports right there either are there with truss or not there with compact, whichever way you so decide. And then, sadly, nothing in utility. So that is all the lovely new parts and edited parts that we're getting with the Restock Plus mod. It is a pretty good little collection. I especially do love all the great little parts that we've gotten for the 0.625 meter size categories. I find it a lot of fun to build stuff in that category. And now, with many new parts, we can create tiny, weird little rockets like this. I don't know why I created this thing like I did, but it's here, and let's go and fly it to see how poorly it does fly. But yes, this Restock Plus was very cool to see along with the Restock mod. So we get some new parts using that same design aesthetic and into size categories which have been a bit lacking in the base game. So let's test out these new solid rocket boosters and of course our nice inline engine. So throttle up and fire in 3, 2, 1, lift off. There we go, a beautiful ship flying away and then going out of control because I just accidentally hit the buttons. But let's release and fire the next engine. And there we are, we have control back again now that I'm not hitting buttons randomly. Though we're starting to lose it a bit, but that's because I'm a horrible pilot. But yes, if you would like to check this mod out for yourself, which I would certainly suggest you go and do, you can have a look at the link in the description as per usual. But this has been the Restock Plus mod, a lovely little selection of new parts for you to enjoy. And yeah, I hope you have enjoyed this episode and that you do come back for the next one. Hopefully, we'll be looking at yet another wonderful mod. But until that time, thank you for watching. And as always, have a good one!